Hello, thank you for joining me on I Am Maggie. And what we are doing here is we are going through the magic of everyday life, doing a slow crawl through the book to see what pearls, what tools, what things we might grasp to help us and those around us in our journey upward. So, what we are in now is chapter 19. We are making our way through this book. We're going to be done before you know it. So we are in chapter 19, Overcoming Awkwardness. Oop, that's not awkward. All right, when you do get a chance, please hit subscribe and like, and I would love to hear your positive comments. We're all working towards something here. I'm working towards my first 1,000 subscribers, and I appreciate your support. So let's get on with it. Chapter 19, Overcoming Awkwardness, is what I'm doing right now. When we raise the concept of awkwardness, we must realize that in this instant as well, we are merely recognizing the surface level of this excruciating and noticeable trait, while in the depths vague, turbulent, disquieting namelessness pulsates. So she is basically saying that our awkwardness lays in a surface layer, so you may not realize somebody has this, and it could be excruciating to them. It could be a noticeable trait. It could also be in the depths vague, turbulent, and disquieting nameless pulsates. So it's there, and maybe that person's trying to overcome it, or maybe that person's tap dancing at a rapid speed, so you actually don't know they're awkward. You might think they're outgoing. It can be concealed in lots of ways. So here we go. Because after all, what is awkwardness? That so often made the years of our youth and meeting certain challenges of our mature years so excruciating. So for some of us, that awkwardness hasn't left. But for some of us, that awkwardness was really intense as a child or when you were going through your adolescent years. It just depends on where you are on the planet, what your support system was like, etc. So what in us brought about the myriad of rigid, seemingly compulsory, ridiculous reflexes while we were doggedly intent on making sure we made a good impression? Yeah, we're doing our best to do our song and dance, and it is required. In ways that's why it's so important to have your good and trusted circle, so you can let your hair down and be real with a good and trusted circle. So why do we say things that we would never have said under ordinary circumstances? Write that in the comments. I would love to hear. Why do we express in truncated, ill-formed words half-baked ideas? Please comment. I would love to hear from you. Why did we execute unfamiliar, incomprehensible movements? A lot of us, when we are awkward, we kind of tick around, or we do things that we do say, act in a way we wouldn't ordinarily act if we were comfortable. Why did we break into a barrage of words that surprised even ourselves? Or why did we fall mute, frozen, when we should have been able to comment cleverly and skillfully? So that's kind of like, when you're stressed, or when the lion's chasing you, but it can also be with awkwardness, right? Flight, fright, freeze, or you're fawning. So we are asking, and then a lot of times when people talk a lot, people always think, oh, they're outgoing, or they talk too much, or they're a social butterfly and all this stuff. Sometimes that's actually a response because that person's really actually anxious, nervous, or feeling awkward. So they're trying to overcompensate with their words. So you just never know. What is the reason that in the presence of certain people we cannot behave naturally? That could be for many reasons. If you're coming out of toxic, abusive, or traumatic situations, it could be any of those reasons, but it also could just be you're feeling awkward. Why do we often have the feeling in a social setting or a public place that every person's eyes were fixed on us suspiciously or derisively, and that when two people leaned towards each other, they were probably whispering about us and criticizing our appearance? And a lot of us go through this, whether it's sometimes it's not your imagination. Sometimes people are really doing that. That's why you have to have your strong, trusted group of friends, family, who you know that you can go to, let your hair down and be yourself. Awkwardness is, of course, the twin to lack of self-confidence. So we just did 2 chapters on self-confidence. However, it is the younger twin because to a large measure, it is infantile. Even if it keeps an aged person captive, the 2 definitions which are still at the surface layers, the awkwardness is caused by pride and a certain egocentric fixation. It does not exhaust the issue, and it merely motivates approaching it from several angles. So awkwardness is caused by pride and a certain egocentrical fixation. It does not exhaust the issue, and it merely motivates approaching it from several angles. Because both egocentricity and this kind of pride are characteristics of awakening puberty of adolescence. So it's kind of like she's saying, it's sort of if we have areas in us that are awkward, it can be sort of an immature part of us that's still growing. The impersonal, unself-conscious, and uninhibited child becomes at this border, crossing embarrassingly into an individualistic, and in their burgeoning individuality, the center of their world. Their personality, however, is to a large extent alien. They are oversensitive, imbalanced, and so subjective that they do not have a healthy relationship with the world. And never fear, if we all constantly talk about the spectrum. So let's say you are not awkward at all. You are totally confident. It's all good in the hood. But let's say that you are awkward and lacking self-confidence. Like I keep saying, if you do the work will work you. And just keep coming with it, because that awkwardness today is going to turn into confidence tomorrow. So never fear, continue on with, never ever ever give up. Just continue on with your processes. And you will have that healthy relationship with yourself and the world. So they escape from obstacles presented by circumstance, from the strong bonds of physical dependency into wild phantoms. They extract bizarre satisfaction from their injuries, and they act dissolute. Their fantasy self and fantasy life are so intense that everyday existence, their actual habitat, seems a faint and meager accessory by comparison. So they kind of living in a fantasy world, not being able to live in the real world and working through real issues. And at the same time, a miserable contradiction and a badge of shame. All right, as usual, Maria Szepes just loads it up and helps deliver it to us so that we can heal and we can help others heal. So that was full of a lot. Just know that if you do have, so a lot of us are accused of being only fantasy and living in fantasy, but we actually have gifts and there are superpowers. So that's okay. When the world catches up, they will. But the bottom line is, if you are sort of numbing out and leaving your body and using all these kind of fantasy things to actually live a life when you, pinch yourself, are actually here in the present earth right now. You chose to come here at this time to help the earth and help the heavens in this the time such as this. So just work on getting you into your body, being present, because you can have it all, but you need to really like realize that this is your temple, and we need you taking action within the present world and stepping out into the world, being the gift that only you can be. Now, we are all definitely going to have fun, because shifting realities, sometimes it's fun to dress up. There's a difference between numbing yourself with fantasy and having gifts that you're stepping into. So I just want to encourage you, because I know so many of you are here, are light workers, energy healers, providers of care in some shape or form, nurse, medic, doctor, lawyers, construction workers. I mean, it's endless what we got going on here. So I'm just trying to let you know, keep coming with your processes. If you do the work's going to do you. And on that note, please like and subscribe and leave your comments. How do you find yourself awkward, or how do you find yourself overcoming? And I think a great example is right now me working through this channel, because it's taking, I'm working on videos. I'm not always stealth, but I'm getting better every day. And it's the process of actually walking through in this temple, taking the action, that's actually helping me step into my new reality. So I want to encourage you to do the same. When you do get a chance, leave your comments. I would love to hear how you're transforming your life. So you know what comes next. Thanks for joining me. Peace in, peace out.